make it tonight. His name is Evan Smith. He's from the District of Columbia. He's the director of the Capital Gains program that we'll be talking about tonight. Evan, and you can read his bio if you like, but he is a social studies teacher in New Orleans. And he has also had an opportunity to work across the district, working with different governmental agencies and being that liaison between the District of Columbia and other federal government agencies. Just like we do here, we work across a lot of different disciplines. So we are very excited. We hope that you will be thinking about questions. There have been some articles in the newspapers over the last month or so, actually probably over the last 6 months, about the capital gains program. Talking about if these students are really benefiting from that, is it really motivating them? So be sure not to be shy to ask them those questions about if they think it's working and how it's working. He will definitely give us a good overview of the program, but be sure to ask those questions about how it came to be and what are the next steps for DCPS. And we are very pleased to have him here tonight. I'm just waiting to finish the sign. I have the pleasure of introducing Evan Smith to you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Again, I'm terribly sorry. I swear to you, I left plenty of time to get out here. Doing construction on the guy on the avenue I didn't know about, among other things. Anyways, thank you for that very kind introduction. As you said, I've been with DCPS now for almost 2 years. This school year, I've been running the capital gains program. Before that, I was doing intergovernmental stuff. It was federal, but also a lot of the city council relations that we do as well. So if saw the slideshow out,
yeah.
I think the best kind of introduction to this is a slideshow, and this is riffed off of what we presented in a lot of the initial community meetings that we did in DC as we started this up this year. So this is our very fancy logo. Basic idea. This idea is not DCPS's. It is in fact a partnership between DCPS and Harvard University and a group up there called the Education Laboratory for Innovation. And it's headed by an economics professor up there, Roland Fryer, who's done similar incentive programs in New York City. And this year is it's the second year, I believe, of what they're doing in New York, and the first year what we're doing in DC and what they're doing in Chicago. And the programs in New York and Chicago are slightly different than what we've got in DC, but the basic premise of the program, as Harvard kind of generated initially, was the idea of short-term incentives for students for student achievement. The idea of incentives is nothing new. I can speak as a former social studies teacher. We used to have Smith bucks in my classroom. You're on task. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. I give you a raffle ticket at the end of the week. You go in. We have prizes, and it's a positive incentive to get kids involved and really on task in their education. So it's not anything new. What is new is obviously the direct financial incentives here. So the basics of the program is students who are doing things they're supposed to do, showing up to class on time, behaving and participating in a class appropriately, turning in homework, studying and performing as best they can on tests and quizzes and in their classes in general. If you're on task and doing all that, you earn more money. The incentives, the way that the program was structured, obviously, we have students K to 12 in the district, and we structure this to go after 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And there's a little bit of reasoning behind that, and that the biggest dropout that we see, and I think for most urban school districts see, is after 9th grade. You have kids that have not been properly prepared in middle school. They're not emotionally ready, they're not academically ready, they're not socially ready for high school because of what's going on at the middle school level. And so they show up in high school, they do that first year of 9th grade, and they say, you know what, this is not for me. And part of that is because, in fact, for many urban school districts, the offering at the middle school level is not great. And if you're a kid, you hit middle school in 6th grade, by 8th grade you've checked out because there's nothing there for you, and at the same time, there's no demand for your education intrinsically. I shouldn't say that a blanket, but this kind of gets at what the Ed Labs folks are trying to do, is they're trying to get at the demand side of education. Now it's up to us at DCPS and all other school districts to make sure the supply is there so you can meet, but by trying to keep those kids and hook them in those tough middle school years and keep them invested in school so that when they get to high school, they will have developed habits that will treat them well in high school. So the program is for middle school students, and the way it was set up in DC is there's 5 metrics. The first 2 consistent across all 15 schools, or 15 schools in the program, attendance and behavior, and then the other 3 varied school to school. Different schools have different aims and different goals that they could use the program to tailor, or they could tailor the program to get towards. So we track the students on these 3 additional metrics in addition to the attendance and behavior. And then at the end of every 2 weeks, we collect this data, it's processed, and then students are rewarded depending on how they did in those 5 different areas. So as I said, there's five indicators. The school picks 3. All of them do attendance and behavior. This program kicked off in October, early October. We were back from school. The first day back this year was August 25th, and so there was certainly a little bit of time at the beginning of the year to make sure that teachers were ready and students were ready and parents and the community was informed about what was going to go on with the program and had an opportunity to learn more as well as speak out and ask questions and raise concerns and things about that. So it began in October, and the basic incentive schedule. You've got these 5 indicators, and this year, in each of those 5 categories, a student in a 2-week period can earn anywhere from 0 to 10 points, and each of those points are worth $2. So who's really good at math here? Any volunteers? I'm just going to call someone random. I used to be a social studies teacher. I'm not afraid of you. All right, we'll go with you right here. If you have 5 categories, 10 points in each, and $2, how much money can you earn in 2 weeks? Up to $100. Probably right up there as well. But it's not insignificant. It's good math, nonetheless. Not insignificant, right? $100, certainly to a 6th grader, is a big chunk of change. So $20 in each category. And a good way of thinking about this is if a student gets, and this is a little bit outdated, but if a student has, let's say in a 2-week period, you got 5 days of school in the first week, 5 days of school in the second week, you have 10 days of school. One of the ways one of our metrics works, every day that you turn in all your homework, you get a point. So if there are 3 days on which you just didn't finish that math homework, but you did all the rest of your homework and all the rest of your classes on the other days, you had 7 days of perfect homework completion. So you've earned your 7 points, which translates to $14 in that homework category. As I said, we started in October. There are 15 reward periods. So we're actually right up. You are sitting in the middle of pay period 14. So there's just going to be one more 2-week cycle after this 2-week cycle, and then the rewards program will be done for this year. And the way that this was structured, as we went into the schools and we said, we're going to do attendance and behavior, and you're going to pick your other 3. We also wanted to make sure that we were pegging this at the appropriate average. And making sure that students were, the average of the school was going to hit about $50 a student. And the reason for that, just kind of basic thinking of incentives, if the averages came in way too high, everyone's earning $70, $80 for doing what they're already doing, kids who have not received money for school before, they're going to check out and say, well, how are you receiving $80? There isn't a whole lot of growth there. The flip side of that, obviously, is if you're giving kids a $10 check every week, they're going to say this is impossible, and they're going to check out as well. So one of the big things we needed to make sure of was that we would hit about that $50 average. We've done that this year. We did a fairly good job of setting that up at each of the different schools. So all that adds up to $100 a week and up to $1,500 in the course of the year. We're just going to run through kind of sample reward structure and what this looks like in some of our schools.